So, big news has come from both DC and Marvel of the first crossover that they're going to have ever since they announced that they are going to start doing crossovers again for the first time since like the early 2000s with like JLA Avengers. Now, this is something that you could arguably have seen when they first announced that they were going to do like omnibuses of the Marvel DC crossovers and like the amalgam books, but it wasn't until a little after the fact that they officially announced that they were going to do crossovers again. And we have our first one announced, with that being Batman and Deadpool, which is not the one that I was expecting. I don't think anyone was expecting this one to be the first one. Um, you know, I would have expected Batman Spider Man. To me, that was like, that's the obvious one, you know? That's the obvious one, that's the go to. What other one could you possibly do? I mean, there has been a Batman Spider Man book before. Maybe they just didn't want to do that again, even though that was like 20 years ago. I don't think anyone would be mad if you did another one in modern time. Especially since like this more than likely is going to be out of continuity anyway, so like who cares? It's not like you gotta deal with like modern day Peter Parker, and how weird fucking he is nowadays and like his world is. Um, but yeah, they decided to go with Deadpool and Batman for their first one. Um, I don't hate it, honestly. When I first saw it, I was like, "This is very weird," but I don't hate it. I don't. Especially when you learn a bit more about the fact that this isn't going to be just a Batman Deadpool crossover. It's going to be two. There's going to be one from Marvel, which is what this cover is right here. This is going to be the Marvel Deadpool Batman crossover. And then there's going to be Batman Deadpool from DC that we see here. Now, this cover is done by Greg Capullo, who is going to be the main artist for the Marvel book. I love Greg Capullo, love his work. This one is going to be written by Zeb Wells. Um, I want to see if we can get. Okay, yeah, so here's like the synopsis. The story, kicking off this September 17th, tells how Wade Wilson is hired for a job in Gotham City that puts him in the crosshairs of the world's greatest detective. Accompanying the main one-shot will be a lineup of backup adventures that features exciting Marvel and DC character matchups, according to the official description. However, details on what it entails, including the creative teams, will be shared at a later date. Now, again, this is being written by Zeb Wells, who um made a very, to say the very least, controversial Amazing Spider-Man run recently that was not well received. It's the one that introduced Paul, that killed off Miss Marvel. Um, it wasn't a well like series. It introduced Rex Rap. Rex Rap, everyone's favorite character, Rex Rap. But yeah, now he's gonna be writing Deadpool, Batman. We'll see how that goes. Just from the description, as long as they keep it simple, might as well. Like, this is like the simple story you could go with, like Deadpool, Batman. Deadpool's a mercenary, Batman's trying to stop him. Obvious one you should go for. A bit basic, but again, really the only reason I would probably pick this up is just to see Greg Capullo's art. That's really it. But there is another one. There's obviously Batman and Deadpool. Now, this one is being drawn by Dan Mora, who is a very popular comic book artist in the industry nowadays, working on a ton of projects. Absolutely stunning art. Love his art. Just incredible. But that's not the shocking part of it. The shocking part is that this is being written by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison, who's like a big figure in the comic book industry, created such like industry shaking books like Animal Man, Doomsday, his Batman run, All Star Superman. Oh, sorry, they. I want to be very clear. They. I have a problem with that when it comes to talking about Grant Morrison. When I use the he pronouns, I don't mean that to, I just want to get this out of the way. I don't mean that to undermine them. That's what I have been used to for a lot of years before I became aware that they, identify as non-binary. I try to do my best. I don't do it on purpose. I just want to make that very clear. But they are a very, big name comic book writer. And now they're writing Batman Deadpool. Like, I believe the last thing they worked on before this was like a Green Lantern run. And that was like, I think that ended like a couple years ago. So, like, to see them writing this, a Batman Deadpool book of all things. Like, first of all, I think it's very clearly that they asked Morrison to be on this just because they wanted the name value that comes with Morrison. But, like, you could have done that with anything, and this is the one you chose to be with. Again, I'm not complaining, because honestly, I would love to see where this goes. This is the one to me where it's just like, the Wells Capullo run is like, yeah, that's what I expect from a Deadpool Batman run. Like a Batman Deadpool crossover. Like, Deadpool's a mercenary, he's trying to do a job, Batman has to stop him. I'll check it out, probably be at least decent, pretty good. Really, I'm just there for the Capullo art. This one, you have Dan Mora on the art, and you have Morrison writing this. This is going to be so weird, and I'm going to love it. I was talking to my friends, I was like, dude, there's so many things they could do. What if Deadpool becomes like a Deadpool of Zur-En-Arrh? What if he has his own Batmite, a Deadmite or something? What if Batman is able to get Deadpool's understanding of the fourth wall and breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to the reader? What if Deadpool and Batman, they both die and Deadpool regenerates with some of Batman's ashes attached to his, so now he's like part Deadpool, part Batman? And that's the thing too. And here's the thing. Look at the background of this cover. There's like angels and shit. And it's like, how weird are they gonna fucking get with this? Like, why are there angels? This is the one that I'm really looking out for. I just this cover as well. I love like the primary use of like primary colors. Like, you got the blue with Batman, you got the red with Deadpool, you got the yellow in the background. I love the primary color use in this. Really cool. I don't know if they give much of a description over like what this comic could be. We see here DC brings together comparative creative heavyweights to tackle their respective one-shot Batman Deadpool. Launching later this November, hails from writer Grant Morrison, who comics including All-Star Superman and Batman and Son now serve as an inspiration for the game's Gunverse, and artist Dan Mora, who, similar to Capullo, has an immense list of credits to his name. Details on DC's story and the accompanying backup adventures will be announced at a later date. Okay, so they haven't even announced what the story kind of would look like. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, honestly, if I want to speculate, he says it right here. I don't do many comics these days, but there was no way I could turn down the chance to work with Dan Mora again, one of my all-time favorite artist collaborators, and definitely no way I could turn down Batman and Deadpool. Morrison writes in a statement, expect fourth wall busting mayhem, owls, blood, blades, and at least one giant typewriter. I'm excited. I was gonna say I didn't read this article fully before we took a look at this, which I definitely should have done. But honestly, when I first saw this, I was just like, "There's no way! This is a prank." Being like, Grant Morrison is going to write Batman Deadpool crossover, and it's gonna be the first Marvel DC crossover in 20 years. I don't know. Look, I wouldn't say I'm a big Morrison fan. I like a lot of their work. Some of it I'm not a big fan of. I really don't care for Final Crisis. But this is the type of Morrison stuff that I'm just I'm in for it. Where it's just it's not that serious. It's just, let's just do some fun shit. Let's do some fun stuff. you know. And I definitely expect, more schisms to be in there. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to make a better story of this, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's just there to have fun. Again, I think he was just, I believe they only really agreed to do this just because Dan Mora was the one who was on this title. As it states here, they were working together when they make Klaus, which is like a reimagined Santa Claus comic. Pretty good. Like, that's the only way I was like, that's the only reason that they agreed to be on this, right? That's the only real way, is that Dan Mora was writing this. Because, like, if there is a Marvel DC crossover that Morrison would do, the last one you would pick is a Batman Deadpool one. But you know what? I'm for it. The Zap Wells one again, it would be I would say it would be at least, good. It would be readable. Really, again, I'm just there for the Greg Capullo. That's really it. I don't really care much for that one. The Morrison one, obviously, is the one that everyone's going to have their eyes on. It's definitely going to outsell it, let's be honest. And I'm very, very curious to see what they do. Now, they have said that there's going to be more coming out. I'm curious to see where they'll go. Again, I feel like the first one they would have done would have been Batman Spider-Man, but now that that's not happening, it's like, well, what's gonna be next though? Like, what's the next one? If the first one is Deadpool Batman, what is the next one gonna be? Like, I could expect, like, I don't know, maybe like Superman, Thor. Maybe Superman, Captain America, honestly, would probably be the better one. They need to do a Wonder Woman one. I think Wonder Woman Thor would probably be a good pick. Maybe Wonder Woman Black Panther, since both of them had games that got essentially scrapped recently. At least do something with them. I could imagine like the Spider-Man one would probably be Spider-Man Flash. Honestly, I could see that. What's an Iron Man one? They could do like an amalgam callback and have him team up with Green Lantern. Hulk could be Swamp Thing, especially with like the recent like monster demon shit they've been doing with Hulk in the last few years. Might as well delve into that. Have like, the Green Door and the Green from DC. Do something with that. I don't know. I don't know, maybe they'll do just like a giant DC versus Marvel again. And we'll get a bunch of that in there. It's going to be interesting, to say the very least. Again, the fact that they're starting off with Batman Deadpool, honestly, I think that just means the sky's the limit. You can't predict what they're going to do, because then they'll just throw a curveball at you. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to check out my main channel where I do political commentary as well as talk about internet drama and stuff like that, go follow my main channel FruitySoar. If you would like to check out my gaming videos, you can follow me at FruitySoar Gaming. But that's all I had to say for today. I would like to thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you next time.